in the world, there is a person who shares your face, your heartbeat, your beginning, yet lives a completely different life. For 13 years, two sisters grew up under separate skies, one beneath the hum of American city lights, the other under the quiet rhythm of rice fields in Vietnam. They did not know each other's voices, did not share birthdays, did not hold each other when the world felt too heavy. And yet, something invisible never broke. This is not just a story about being lost. It is about what happens when life finally gives you a second chance to find what was never meant to be gone. Two lives, one beginning. The story begins not with choice, but with survival. In 1998, in a small Vietnamese village, a mother faced an impossible decision. She had two newborn daughters, identical twins, fragile, undernourished, and born into a life she could not afford to give them. There was no dramatic moment, no grand speech, just a quiet understanding that love sometimes does not mean holding on, it means letting go. One child, later named Isabel, was taken to an orphanage. The other, Ha, was too sick to be accepted. She was sent instead to live with relatives in a rural village where survival depended on resilience more than resources. From that moment on, their lives split into two completely different worlds. Isabel grew up surrounded by opportunity. At 4 years old, she was adopted by an American family in Chicago, Keely and Mick Solimene, a couple who already had children but still chose to open their home again. She gained not just parents, but siblings, laughter-filled dinners, school mornings, and a future filled with possibilities. Meanwhile, Ha's life unfolded quietly in Vietnam. She grew up in a modest home, surrounded by fields where electricity was limited and every day required effort just to keep going. Her parents, her aunt, and uncle did their best with what they had. There was no luxury, no safety net, but there was care, there was endurance. Both girls grew up knowing a truth that felt almost unreal. Somewhere out there, they had a twin. For Ha, that thought felt distant, almost like a story she told herself to make sense of something she could never reach. She believed she would never meet her sister. It was too far, too impossible, too out of her world. For Isabel, the idea existed more as a curiosity than a longing. She had a full life already. A twin, somewhere in Vietnam, felt more like a missing piece she had learned to live without. But life has a way of bringing buried truths back to the surface. Years later, while organizing documents, Isabel's adoptive mother found something unexpected, a letter written in Vietnamese, hidden among old paperwork. It revealed a truth no one had fully understood before. Isabel was not alone. She had a twin sister. In that moment, everything changed. For some people, this discovery might have been just another detail in a complicated past, but for Isabel's mother, it became a mission. She felt something deeper, a responsibility, a calling. If there was another daughter out there, she needed to be found. And so began a journey that would take years, crossing languages, cultures, and countless uncertainties. The search across worlds. Finding someone in a different country is difficult. Finding someone with incomplete records, language barriers, and years of lost time feels almost impossible. But Isabel's mother refused to give up. She traveled to Vietnam, asking questions, revisiting the orphanage, searching through fragmented information that barely pointed anywhere. Records were incomplete. Names were inconsistent. And every answer seemed to lead to more questions. Still, she continued. Eventually, through the help of a local woman with strong community ties, small pieces of the story began to come together. There had been a struggling mother, two daughters, one taken to an orphanage, one sent away because she might not survive. That trail led them to a rural village, to Ha. Years had passed. Ha was no longer the fragile child doctors once doubted would live. She had grown into a quiet, thoughtful teenager shaped by a life that demanded strength from an early age. When Isabel's adoptive mother finally met her in 2008, she came alone without Isabel. She brought photos, videos, fragments of a life Ha had never seen. And then she asked a question that would change everything. Would you like to come to America with me? For many, this might sound like an opportunity, but for Ha, it felt overwhelming, suspicious even. Her entire life had been built in that village. Her family was there. Her identity was rooted in the soil beneath her feet. She said no, not out of rejection, but out of uncertainty. She needed something real. She needed to see her sister with her own eyes. And so a new plan was made. If Ha wouldn't go to America, then Isabel would come to Vietnam. 3 years later, in 2011, that moment finally arrived. At an airport filled with strangers, noise, and anticipation, two girls who shared the same face stood in front of each other for the first time in 13 years. But the reunion wasn't what anyone expected. There were no immediate tears, no cinematic embrace. Instead, there was hesitation. They looked alike, uncannily so. The same features, the same small details that mirrored each other, but emotionally, they were strangers. Ha, overwhelmed, reached out with affection. Isabel, more reserved, felt uncomfortable. There was a language barrier, a cultural gap, and perhaps most importantly, a lifetime of separate experiences standing quietly between them. For a moment, it felt like the reunion might not become what everyone had hoped. But connection is not always instant. Sometimes it grows, learning to become sisters. Relationships, even between twins, cannot be forced. They must be built moment by moment. After that first meeting, Isabel and Ha began to spend time together, not in grand emotional gestures, but in small, ordinary ways. They went to amusement parks, they laughed over simple things, they shared stories awkwardly at first, then more freely, and slowly something began to shift. They started noticing the similarities, the same birthmarks, the same habits, the same quiet reactions to certain moments. It was as if pieces of themselves were reflected back in each other. For Isabel, one of the most difficult moments came when she saw how Ha lived. The contrast between their lives was impossible to ignore. A small, simple home in the middle of a field, compared to the comfort she had always known in America. It brought a kind of sadness that words couldn't fully express. How could two people so identical live such completely different lives? But instead of letting that difference divide them, it became something else, a bridge. After returning to the US, Isabel's family began supporting Ha's education. They helped her attend better schools, provided resources, and most importantly, stayed connected. The sisters talked regularly, consistently, and over time, the awkwardness disappeared. When Isabel returned to Vietnam again in 2012, their reunion felt different. This time, the hugs were real, natural, warm. They were no longer strangers trying to understand each other, they were becoming sisters. In 2016, Ha made one of the hardest decisions of her life. She chose to move to the United States to study, to grow, and to be closer to Isabel. Leaving Vietnam meant leaving behind everything she had known, her parents, her home, her identity. At the airport, as she said goodbye, she told herself it wasn't forever, just another chapter. And she was right, because from that point on, the two sisters became inseparable. They went to the same high school, the same university. They built a life together not as two halves trying to complete each other, but as two individuals choosing every day to stay connected. Their bond grew into something deeper than shared DNA. It became understanding, the kind where words are not always necessary, where one look is enough, where presence itself feels like home.